Hello guys, Croftus here. If you watched Avatar on Netflix, Disney Plus, or if you bought a regular DVD, chances are you viewed the edited version of the movie that is quite shorter than the producer's full version. So today we'll be covering all 14 deleted scenes that were removed from Avatar of 2009. James Cameron's extended version of Avatar is actually 17 minutes longer than the original release and has certain critical scenes that sometimes give radically different context to the story. As of now, the only way to view these deleted scenes is by buying the collector's edition Blu-ray of Avatar that has the extended version of the movie with all deleted scenes included. These scenes give the movie a much deeper and more intricate meaning and sometimes showcase critical elements of the story, including Jake basically killing Tsu'tey, who actually survived the fall, the execution of Neytiri's family member by Marines, the extended mating sequence between Jake and Neytiri, which reveals some of the Na'vi biology, and many other scenes. The first deleted scene is the original beginning of the movie that is completely different from the theatrical release and showcases the side of Jake Sully that makes him different from all other Marines and most humans in the movie. In the original version, after flying over Pandora Dream, Jake wakes up from cryosleep in a spaceship. However, in the extended version, after the Pandora Dream, we're cut to Jake in a wheelchair crossing a sidewalk in the overpopulated city of the future. Then we see Jake in his apartment watching a nature documentary about tigers that were brought back from extinction using genetic engineering, which probably are the same technologies that allowed to create a Na'vi human hybrid that we see later in the movie. Jake says, "I became a Marine for the hardship, to be hammered on the anvil of life. I told myself I can pass any test a man can pass. If you want a fair deal, you're on a wrong planet." Then we're cut to the scene of Jake at a bar, which shows that Jake has a big heart and cannot stand the strong preying on the weak. Next to a bar stand, the big guy starts hitting a woman and nobody seems to be bothered by it except Jake, who, despite being partially paralyzed, takes the guy down. Jake also says a line that pretty much defines him as a character. "All I ever wanted in my life was a single thing worth fighting for." Then bouncers overpower him and throw him outside in a puddle along with his wheelchair, totally disregarding that he is a disabled veteran. This is when two RDA representatives find him, ask to come with them, and eventually tell him the horrible news about his twin brother who was killed by a thief trying to steal his wallet. Then they explain that Jake can take his brother's place, and then the movie continues as in the theatrical cut. This scene, in my opinion, perfectly sets up Jake's character as somebody with a big heart, which is mentioned many times in the movie. In addition, this original opening gives more information about the civilization on Earth, which can explain some choices that Jake makes later in the movie. The second deleted scene is pretty short and occurs during Jake's first mission in the Avatar body. The helicopter flies for a bit longer over Pandora's rainforest and Jake notices a pack of Sturmbeasts, bull-like creatures of Pandora. The third deleted scene, called Dr. Gray's School, is really important since it explains why Neytiri knew English so well and sets up the location where Neytiri's family member was killed by Marines. In the original version, after the helicopter lands, we see Dr. Grace analyzing terrestrial network and Jake exploring Pandora's flora. However, in the extended version, Jake, Norm, and Dr. Grace go to Dr. Grace's Old English School built for Na'vi. The school is now closed and abandoned because, according to Dr. Grace, Na'vi learned as much about humans as they needed to. But we later learn that the actual reason is way darker, but Dr. Grace just doesn't want to tell it to Jake. Then, inside the school, Jake sees the planetary model of Polyphemus, a gas giant that Pandora and 13 other moons orbit. Also, Norm finds a children's book, the Lorax, that was used to teach Na'vi English. However, this book has a much deeper meaning and connection to Avatar. The Lorax is a story about the conflict between the industrialist, Once Lair, and Lorax, a little creature that can speak to trees. One Slayer wants to cut rare trees and sell them, which is an obvious parallel to the human activity on Pandora. Lorax can communicate with the trees and voices their distress, which is another parallel to Awa, a network of trees that Na'vi can communicate with. Lastly, Jake finds bullet holes in a blackboard and asks Grace what happened in here. Dr. Augustine decides to ignore his question, but in another deleted scene, she actually does give an explanation about the tragedy that happened in the school involving Neytiri's family. Then Dr. Augustine tells Jake to pick up some boxes and the story continues like in the original cut. The fourth deleted scene is about 10 seconds long and showcases Jake and Neytiri running through some bioluminescent plants and purple moss which reacts to the pressure of their footsteps. The next deleted scene is the extended Na'vi dinner scene, which occurs on the same night when the Amaticaya clan first meets Jake Sully. The deleted scene has additional dialogue and reveals some of the Na'vi diet, which incorporates Telu, a shrimp-like Pandora's insect. In the same scene, Neytiri tells him her full name, Neytiri Tataha Moyeti, which is kind of hard to pronounce for Jake, so he ends up calling her just Neytiri. There are a few extra lines in the script that were not included in the movie at all, but some appear on unfinished concept materials. Moat says Neytiri will test this warrior, he may learn nothing, but we will learn much. Itukan adds, you speak truth, we must understand the sky people if we are to drive them out. The sixth deleted scene is the arrival to the Halelluia Mountans station. When Dr. Grace, Jake and Norm walk to the station, Dr. Grace explains the reason these mountains are levitating above the ground, which is due to the maglev effect and the superconductivity of unobtainium, the mineral humans are mining on Pandora. After doing some research, the simple explanation is that the superconductivity of unobtainium is what allows the immense magnetic fields to occur in this region. Therefore, the extreme magnetism counteracts the force of gravity, levitating these huge mountains in the air, which is what maglev effect is. The seventh short sequence occurs during Jake's training. We see him and Neytiri approach a luminescent pink plant that looks like a large Woodsprite seed. Also, the scene with the lizard-looking creature called Kenton is extended. After Kenton start flying, Neytiri and Jake jump around and play with them in a way that a young couple would. The eighth deleted scene is pretty short and occurs when Jake is climbing the Halelluia Mountains to tame an Ikran. As he and three other Na'vi are walking on the Liana, Neytiri flies around them and says hello to Jake. The next, ninth deleted scene is particularly interesting and explains the tragedy that happened to Neytiri's sister, which is probably the reason Neytiri has so much dislike towards humans and couldn't really accept Miles as her kid. After Jake disconnects from his avatar, Dr. Grace gives him a pack of processed food, which sort of irritates Jake since he just had real food that he hunted himself as an avatar. Then he looks at some old photographs of students from Dr. Grace's school, notices Neytiri in one of the photos, and asks about the accident. Dr. Augustine explains that Neytiri had a sister, Silwanin, and one day she stopped coming to school because she was angry that humans were cutting sacred trees. Then Silwanin with a couple of other Na'vi set a bulldozer on fire and ran back to the schoolhouse thinking that Dr. Grace would protect them. However, the Marines pursued them to the school and shot Silwanin right in front of Neytiri along with all other natives. After this incident, the school was abandoned and Itukan banned humans from the Amaticaya clan and has forbidden Na'vi to interact with avatars. I'm sure Neytiri started to hate humans after they killed her sister, which is the reason she was about to shoot Jake right after she saw him. I'm not sure why this scene was cut from the movie since it adds so much more depth to Neytiri and Dr. Grace's characters while giving more context to why Na'vi and humans are on the brink of war. Shortly after Jake tames a banshee, there's a 10th deleted scene in which Tsu'tey, Jake, Neytiri, and other Na'vi hunt a pack of Sturmbeasts on their Ikrans. This deleted scene is an amazing action sequence in which Jake manages to kill a Sturmbeast despite hunting on a banshee for the first time. The next deleted scene is the extended mating sequence between Jake and Neytiri, which reveals some of Na'vi's extraordinary physiology. Na'vi are monogamous creatures who choose a partner once in their life and seal this bond under one of the sacred trees in front of Pandora's deity, Ewa. This deleted scene shows more kissing and hugging and reveals Jake and Neytiri connecting their cues, which theoretically should allow them to feel each other's bodies. Since the neural cue is a second spinal cord, by merging them, Jake and Neytiri's nervous systems become one single unit, which should allow them to physically experience each other's bodies and even read each other's thoughts. I think merging cues is a really cool concept, and I'm not sure why it was removed from the original version. The script has additional dialogue that gives a better understanding of Neytiri's personality. Towards the end of the love scene, Jake says, "Neytiri, you know my real body is far away, sleeping." She raises up, placing her fingertips on his chest. "This body is real, the spirit is real," says Neytiri while touching his forehead. Her eyes are luminous, honest, and infinitely deep. "When I was first your teacher, I hated all sky people, but you also have taught me, spirit is all that matters." The 12th deleted scene happens after Parker and Colonel Courage learned from Jake that Na'vi would never move from the home tree since there is nothing that they want from humans. The original cut jumps to Parker's office where he's deciding his next step. However, in the extended version, before that scene, there's a sequence in which Tsu'tey with other Na'vi warriors burn the bulldozers along with all the human personnel. Then, a group of Marines inspect the ashes with the live feed helmet cam and reveal that the equipment is beyond repair and that 6 RDA employees were killed. Therefore, Na'vi destroying bulldozers gives a totally different context to the scene in which Parker decides whether to attack the home tree or not. A bit later, there is an additional line from Dr. Grace in which she says that Courage destroyed the sacred tree on purpose to trigger a response from Na'vi. Then we fast forward towards the last act of the movie. After Tsu'tey gets shot and falls from the Valkyrie ship, there is a short deleted clip of him landing on the ground, badly injured but still alive. There is an additional scene that can only be found in the script, but it gives an explanation to why Tsu'tey asks Jake to end his life towards the end of the movie. In the script, Lyle Wainfleet finds injured Tsu'tey and cuts off his neural cue, which is extremely disturbing. Lyle Wainfleet reaches down and grabs Tsu'tey by his cue, lifting him painfully. Wainfleet says, "I hear this is worse than death for you, Chief." Wainfleet cuts Tsu'tey's cue off near the base. Tsu'tey screams in agony, his nervous system exploding in overload. Grinning, Lyle holds up the cue, Tsu'tey's only connection to the world consciousness, which is his life. The cue is an essential part of Na'vi biology, and without it, Na'vi cannot ride animals, connect with Pandora's deity Ewa, and even mate as shown previously. Therefore, losing the neural cue is one of the worst things that could happen to a Na'vi, which can explain why Tsu'tey asks Jake to end his suffering in another deleted scene. The next extended sequence is the fight between Neytiri riding a Thanator and Courage that is a few seconds longer than in the original version. And then we get to the last deleted scene, which is a really emotional scene that happens after the battle for the Tree of Souls, and it involves Jake basically killing Tsu'tey. In the extended version, Jake and Neytiri find the mortally wounded Tsu'tey, rush towards him and try to inspect his injuries. We can actually see that Tsu'tey's neural cue is cut off if we zoom in on a couple of frames. Tsu'tey looks like he's on the brink of death and asks Jake if the people are safe. The deleted scene is almost the same as in the script, except a few important lines that I'm gonna include. Tsu'tey weakly clutches his severed neural cue and says, "I can never ride again or bond with my woman, or hear the voice of Ewa. I cannot lead the people, you will lead them, Jake Sully." Jake responds, "No, I'm not officer material." But Tsu'tey insists, "It is decided, now do the duty of Olayekton, set my spirit free." Jake doesn't want to do that, but Tsu'tey says, "I am already dead." Tsu'tey adds, "It is the way, and it is good. I will be remembered." Tsu'tey's voice is weak but thick with emotion. "I fought with Turuk Makto. We were brothers, and he was my last shadow." Tsu'tey's hand clasps with Jake's in a fierce grip. Jake draws his knife. Jake leans forward, blocking the sun. His shadow falls across Tsu'tey. "Forgive me, my brother. Go now to the Mother Spirit." By his movement, we know that he has ended Tsu'tey's pain. Jake's eyes well with tears as he continues reciting the prayer for the dead. This deleted scene is really sad, but it gives Tsu'tey a more honorable death and shows that the title of the clan leader officially passes down to Jake. Another short deleted scene actually occurs when humans leave Pandora and Peter Selfridge says to Jake that this is not over. This short clip only happened in the theatric re-release and it's not included in the extended edition. Thank you guys for watching. Let me know your thoughts about these scenes and do you think they should have left them in the movie? Also, like this video if you enjoyed it and subscribe to this channel for more Avatar content. My name is Croft and I'll see you in the next video.